Hello and welcome to Fondant Sculpting at the Davenport Public Library. I am so excited about this program. I have never worked with fondant until just the last month or so when I've been playing with things trying to get ready for this program. So I'm telling you that so that you know, first, that I'm not an expert, and second, that anybody can do this. It is so fun. So in your little kit, you will have a box of fondant, and you will have a little envelope that has stuff in it. What's in it is these little chocolate chips and some toothpicks. And you can replace that with anything that you have at home that you want to. It's all good. Whatever you want to do is fine. Okay, fondant. Fondant dries out really quickly. So what we don't use, we want to wrap up. So that said, go ahead and take your fondant out of your box, and we're going to open up the package. Okay. Now, on your work surface, you should have some waxed paper or some parchment paper, and that's just going to give you a nice surface to work on. Okay, pull out all of your fondant. Now I want to tell you too that fondant will pick up lint and dust and all sorts of stuff really easily. So you want to be sure that your hands are clean, or you might want to wear gloves. If you're going to eat this stuff, if you're going to use it on cupcakes and actually eat it, be sure and wear gloves. If you're gonna, I'm not going to worry about it too much today because I'm just playing with it. Also, if you're wearing a sweater or a sweatshirt that has lots of fuzzies on it, it could easily get into your fondant, so you want to watch what you're wearing too. So that said, also in your little kit, you should have a knife and a fork. You can use the ones that you got, or you can use your own, it doesn't really matter. Okay, now what I would like for you to do is, with this block of fondant, because we have 5 weeks, we're going to cut this into 6 different projects. So go ahead and just score it right across the top. And to score it, I mean just put a little line in it so that you can see where it is. So you'll go in half the long ways. And then, and this doesn't have to be exact, it doesn't really make that much difference. You can go ahead and put 2 more scores in your fondant. So you're going to have something that looks like that when you're done. So you'll have 6 pieces when we cut it. Now I'm having you do it this way rather than immediately cutting it into 6 pieces, because I want you to decide if you want to wrap them separately or if you want to wrap them together. If you want to wrap each of these pieces separately so that they're wrapped for each week, you can do that. Or you can just cut off the section that we're going to use for one day and wrap the rest together. And that's what, excuse me, that's what I'm going to do today. I'm just going to cut off 1/6 of my fondant. So I have one little block, and then I have this leftover. Now this, your leftover, it will dry out really quickly, so you want to be sure and wrap it. I'm going to put it right back into the foil, and I'm going to wrap it up like this, and then I'm going to get some plastic wrap, and I'm going to wrap it again. It does not have to be refrigerated. It can just stay out on the counter, but you do want to have it airtight so that you'll be able to work with it next week. Okay. And you can, after wrapping it, you can put it in a baggie too if you want to, just to be extra sure. Okay, so there's my fondant that is ready for next week. I'm going to put that aside. Okay, now I have my little block of fondant, and this is where it gets really fun. Now this is frosting. basically is what this is, except it's not really as sweet as frosting. But that's what it is. It's just sugar. If at any time you're working with it, you think it's too dry and it's not as pliable, you can get Crisco or vegetable shortening and put it on your hands, and that'll make it a little bit easier to work with. If you think it's too soft, you can add confectioner sugar, which is basically powdered sugar. That said, go ahead and get your fondant and just play with it for a while. It feels pretty cool, doesn't it? That's kind of my favorite part. So today, because I wanted to go through some of that stuff, we're going to make a really easy project. We are going to make this little bunny. Can you see him? And this is going to be easier than you think. What you want to do is take your fondant, and you can roll it out. If you have a rolling pin, you can use a rolling pin on it. Since I don't have one at work, I am not going to use one, and that's perfectly fine. You can just take your fondant and just kind of squeeze it out. We want to make it flat, and we want to make it into a circle. Another way that you can do this, if you want to, you can take your parchment paper or your wax paper and put it on top of your fondant and just kind of squish it out. And you want to get it relatively flat. It doesn't have to be exactly flat, and it doesn't have to be exactly even if you can't get it that way either. Using the wax paper like this, you're gonna get a flatter line, and you won't have as many fingerprints in it. So that's kind of why I'm doing it that way. Okay, so here's what I have. I have a fondant pancake. Okay, so you have your circle. Circle like this. First thing we're going to do is make the ears. So to make the ears, you're going to just kind of fold a little bit up at the top. So it's kind of like that. And you don't want to make them too deep, because then your ears will be too big for your bunny. Okay, and now we're going to make the bunny. We're going to make the bunny's face. So we take it from the bottom and we start rolling it toward the ears. So just roll it. See how I'm doing that? Okay. When you get up to the top, so that it's just meeting the bottom of the ears, you can take your knife and cut in between your ears. That sounded weird, didn't it? So it's going to look like that. Okay, and then you just roll your bunny's head back, such as this. Pull your ears up tight. And you have a bunny. I don't know, I think mine is kind of a flop today. You can play with the ears and shape them the way that you want to. There, that looks a little bit better. And because it's pliable, you can just play with your bunny until you get it the way that you like it. There. What do you think? Does that look more like a bunny? I think my ears are still a little bit too long. Okay, so once you have your bunny ears done, now it's time to make your bunny face. So to do this, all we need to get we need to get our toothpick out, and that should be in your little bag. And you're gonna make 2 little holes for your eyes. So there's 1, and there's 2. There. See how we put the 2 little holes in our bunny face. And then you can take one of your chocolate chips and put in there. And voila! We should probably give him a nose so he looks better. Ta-da! We now have a bunny. Okay. Was it fun? I would love to see your bunnies. So if you want to, go ahead and take a picture and post it in the comments so everybody can see how you did. Okay, we'll see you next week. And next week, I think we're going to talk about adding food coloring you can make your fondant whatever color that you want. So if you have food coloring at your house, go ahead and pick out your colors, and we will talk about how to color our fondant. We'll see you next week.